Hey guys, welcome back to Dark Souls 2. My name is Tom, and in this episode, I'm just going to be tying up some loose ends that I've forgotten to do previously. First of all, we have to go back here and talk to Man Scorpion Tark again to get the rest of his dialogue after killing Scorpioness Najka, so I'm gonna quickly be quiet while this plays out.
You've defeated my better half. This is my thanks. Take it. I have no gods to pray to. But still, I pray that your journey will be safe. I have no gods to pray to, but...
Okay, so like I said, for this episode, I'm just going to be going around cleaning up some things that I've forgotten to do along the way. Not including like little items that I've missed, just big stuff. Like getting these few Fragrant Branch of Yore items, getting to Ornifex and freeing her from her prison down in the Shaded Woods, and seeing Vengal's body and defeating it, talking to Man Scorpion Tark as we just did, and then a few other things as well. I also get Lucatil's dialogue from the Earthen Peak, and we also go and defeat the old Dragon Slayer in Hyde's Tower of Flame in the Blue Cathedral. And while this is all going down, I'm mostly going to be talking about some changes, or not really changes that will be coming to this channel immediately, but changes and updates that will be coming in the near future. For one, Metal Gear Solid 5 comes out soon, and I'm thinking about playing that on this channel, just to do something a bit different. I talked previously in another episode of this playthrough about broadening your horizons as a gamer, and playing things that you wouldn't usually play. I haven't actually played Metal Gear Solid since Revengeance, which was Metal Gear Rising, so I'd like to play a Metal Gear Solid game again. And that would be really cool to play on this channel, I think, because not only would a Metal Gear game be something different for the channel, but they're also very good games in general. And I'm guessing that Metal Gear Solid will also probably be one of the best games of the year, and I honestly don't want to miss playing it. I may only play a few episodes on this channel, like I don't know if it'll be a full playthrough, but I probably will play it nonetheless. Although if I do choose to do a Metal Gear Solid 5 playthrough, I don't know when that will start, seeing as we're playing Dark Souls 2 right now, and I would like to focus on that before I start something else. And we're just going to talk to Ornifex quickly.
Thank you for helping me. I am Ornifex. I owe you some form of thanks, but have nothing for you at the moment. If it would not trouble you, could you visit my abode just down the way? Thank you, kind traveler. I believe that I can be of assistance if you would visit me at my home. Thank you.
So yeah, like I was saying, I don't know how immediate that Metal Gear playthrough will come about. It will most likely be after I finish this Dark Souls 2 playthrough, or walkthrough, whatever you want to call it, and then I'll start a live commentary run of Dark Souls, and then at that same time, because live commentary runs are a lot easier to do for me, I may also do a live commentary run of Metal Gear Solid 5 at the same time. And that's mainly just because I don't want to miss the window where that game is still kind of like, I mean, it'll be popular for a long time, but I don't want to miss that window where the game is at its peak relevance, because I still am a channel that has to cater to when a game is popular, at least every now and then. So I don't want to miss that window. So I will most likely play it either sometime close to the end of this playthrough, or at the start of the Dark Souls playthrough as well. In fact, I may even start Metal Gear Solid 5 when I get to the DLC of Dark Souls 2, because the DLC will most likely be easier and faster to do for me, since they are a bit smaller areas, and that means I can focus more on 2 games rather than just the one, knowing that I've already done most of the Dark Souls 2 areas and most of the main content in this game. Of course though, this all just depends on when I can actually afford to buy the game. I'm guessing when the game first comes out here in Australia, it'll be about $99, or $89 depending on where you get it, and I mean that's $100 just for a game, and I recently just bought a new microphone and a new setup for that, so I still need to buy a USB audio interface as well, and that alone is another $100. Also just checking out Vengal's armor here for any additional information. But the reason I need a audio interface that costs $100 is because that is the only way to use an XLR microphone. I'll have to put a pin in that for now though, because Vengal has some new dialogue for us.
Back again? Well, this is a pleasant surprise. Ah, it was you
who vanquished my body. It is my body, you see, and I can sense what happens to it. I do not mourn for it. Good riddance. If you wish for help, summon me. I'm rusty in battle, but will fight by your side. I was born in Feroza. When I was born, we were already... Eventually, I've been all I ever knew. What a
So, if you didn't know how to summon Vengal, that is how you get him to allow you to summon him. You have to defeat his body and then go and talk to him, and then you'll be able to summon him at various locations. And here I'm just looking at the Red Rust Scimitar and Red Rust Sword because they actually say something quite interesting. Legend has it that it was built to test the limits of the strength of Feroza knights until Vengal swung it about like a wooden plaything, claiming ownership by demonstration. And the Red Rust Shield also goes to say that Vengal would scratch in numbers and notches on the shield for each person that he killed. Although we never actually get to see Vengal use this shield. He doesn't use it when you summon him, nor does he use it when you fight his body. He uses the scimitar and the sword. And I'm also just going to take a second here to show you guys the moveset for the Red Rust Scimitar. I don't bother doing the Red Rust Sword because it's almost identical to that of a generic straight sword as well. In fact, it may be the exact same as a generic straight sword. But I don't use curved swords all that much, so I felt the need to show off this moveset. At the time of playing this, it was just me testing it out, but I just chose to leave it in this episode anyway, because as for right now, it will give me the time to talk about some important things to do with the content changes that will be coming up after this walkthrough ends. So this is the content or the schedule for what will be happening after this series ends. At first, I will be starting the Dark Souls live commentary playthrough. If I don't start Metal Gear Solid 5, after that, I'll be doing, or after this, or during the same time, I will be doing Dark Souls 2 lore videos that will basically encompass shorter versions of the lore that I have already tackled in this game and in this playthrough. Each of those lore videos will most likely just be something called Quick Lore, or something like that. I don't know, I haven't decided on a name for it yet, but they'll either be 3 to 5 minute videos, or just 5-minute videos. I may also slip some Dark Souls 1 lore videos into there while I'm doing that Dark Souls 1 live commentary playthrough, but I'm not entirely sure yet because I'll have to see how in-depth I can get into Dark Souls 1 while I'm actually playing with live commentary. All of this stuff is quite far in the future though. I know Metal Gear Solid 5 comes out on the 1st of September, and that is very soon, but I don't think I'll be playing it that soon.
Well, there's treasure this way.
If anything, and if I do a playthrough of Metal Gear Solid 5, it would come more towards the end of September and maybe mid-October, sometime like that. And I know that wouldn't be at the peak relevance of the game. The peak relevance would be as soon as it comes out on September 1st and to play it on day 1, but I honestly don't have the time to do that. If I played it on PS4, maybe I would have the time to do that, but it's a lot cheaper on PC for me. On PC it's around $49 or $59, and that's $30 cheaper than it would be getting it usually at the store. Anyway, Pete has some more dialogue.
Well, good to see that you survived. Perhaps you're more rugged than I thought. In any case, the treasure is yours, since you went ahead and took the leap. I prefer a more cautious approach. It's hard to know who to even trust these days. For instance, I've heard that a man is out for my life. Now, what misunderstanding could have ever led to that? The poor bloke must have quite an imagination. You be careful too, my friend, for trust can be a dangerous thing.
Okay, so the reason I went back to get Pate here was so we could encounter him and Creighton at Brightstone Cove Seldora, and doing this activates the fight between the two. Back to what I was saying about Metal Gear though, playing it on PC is a lot easier for me because that means I'll have less recording issues with the PVR if the PVR decides to mess up. I honestly just prefer recording on PC. And as for doing a Metal Gear series itself on this channel, I know this channel is mainly based around Soul stuff, but I would also like to broaden it to a wider demographic as well, so this channel doesn't just stagnate in Souls content. But I have tried to do this before with Final Fantasy, and it didn't really gain any traction, although that was at the very start of the channel, and things may have changed now.
Oh, you My thoughts are very scattered. What is this curse? The question rings in my mind, but I haven't the focus to answer it. Loss frightens me no end. Loss of memory, loss of self. If I were told that by killing you I would be freed of this curse, then I would draw my sword without hesitation. I don't want to die, I want to exist. I would sacrifice anything at all for this. It shames me, but it is the truth. Sometimes I feel obsessed with this insignificant thing called self. Even so, I am compelled to preserve it. Am I wrong to feel so? Surely you do the same in my shoes. Maybe we're all cursed from the moment we're born. Sometimes I feel obsessed. Am I wrong? Maybe we're from the moment we're...
That was the dialogue that I missed from Lucatiel, and thank you for telling me about missing that, because otherwise I would not have known where to find her in the Earthen Peak. And I really didn't even know where to find her when I came back here initially. I had to Google it and stop recording, and I eventually found her here. It's a really weird place to put her, because not only do you have to burn the windmill to get the poison out of this room, but you can't actually access this room until halfway through the Earthen Peak itself. So you can't find Lucatiel without doing all this stuff beforehand. And I think it's a bit weirder that they put her here rather than where she was in the original game, because here, less people are bound to find her, and they're more likely to miss her questline entirely. Anyway, just to finish up what I was saying about Metal Gear Solid 5, and this is the last thing I'll say about it. If it doesn't gain enough traction in views and in viewership, so if not enough people are watching it, I will just cancel the entire series. If it only gets 1 episode or 2 episodes out, and there aren't enough views to show that people want to watch this series, then I'll just can it. Because, well, I mean, it's not doing me any favors being content that isn't getting any views. Or it's not really doing me any favors if the content isn't being appreciated by anyone. And I'm going to all this time to make that certain content and that certain series, and it's not getting anything back, or I'm not getting any feedback from it. So essentially, if it's a good series and it gets views, and at least if I like playing it, I might keep it on the channel, but if it doesn't entice me all that much and it doesn't get that many views, then I'll most likely just go back to doing strictly Souls content for a while, at least until something else spikes my interest. Now, the reason that I'm judging this by views rather than anything else is because views just show how much you guys want to see the series, along with likes and all that other crap, but it doesn't really matter. Views show the most out of anything. They show that your content is being appreciated, they show that your content is being watched by others, and that's the most obvious thing you want to see. And if that keeps on going and that it stays at a constant rate throughout that series, it means that that series is good and that you should keep making it. But if that doesn't happen at the start and it kind of stagnates as soon as I put it out, then it most likely will not stay up on the channel. Anyway, that's all I really have to say about it for now. When the game comes out, I may decide to not play it, I may decide to go through with doing a playthrough of it, but who knows at this point. It's still quite a bit far off at least. I mean, it comes out in about 2 days, but I don't think I'll be playing it then. Anyway, I'm back in No Man's Wharf, and I'm fighting the Flexile Sentry again, because I missed a boss fight with Lucatiel, with the Smelter Demon, and I was thinking it would be easier to just kill the Flexile Sentry on New Game Plus. And Bonfire Aesthetic, No Man's Wharf, rather than Bonfire Aesthetic, the Iron Keep, and fight the Smelter Demon on New Game Plus, and then when I go through New Game Plus, I'll have to fight it on New Game Plus 2. I'd rather fight the Flexile Sentry on New Game Plus 3 than fight the Smelter Demon on New Game Plus 2. That is how much easier the Flexile Sentry is compared to the Smelter Demon. So, to complete Lucatiel's questline, I would have had to do 3 boss fights where she lived through the boss. And if she dies in the boss fight, you have to redo the boss, and she has to live through it to be able to fully complete her questline and to get her items. and I accidentally forgot to talk to her in the Earthen Peak. That's the reason I went back there before, to talk to her. This then triggered her to show up in the Iron Keep, but of course I had already killed the Smelter Demon, so that point was moot, and therefore I had to fight one of her bosses again. The easiest of those, of course, being the Flexile Sentry. And now, at this point in time, when we get to Aldir's Keep, Lucatiel's questline will be finished, and we will get her items. And as I said earlier in the episode, we are now here in Hyde's Tower of Flame to kill the old Dragon Slayer. But the first thing you'll notice is that all the dormant Hyde Knights that were sitting down before are now actively trying to murder the hell out of me. The Hyde Knights become active after you kill the Dragon Rider in Hyde's Tower of Flame, the first boss of the area. This area isn't really difficult to start off with, but after you kill the Dragon Rider, this area just spikes in difficulty immediately. It's still not really that hard, because compared to how difficult the Hyde Knights were in the original Dark Souls 2, these guys are a cakewalk. They have probably about half the amount of HP they would usually, and they're in one of the earliest levels as well, so you know they're meant to be sort of easy to semi-difficult enemies. And I just had a pretty nice idea as well. If I don't end up doing a Metal Gear Solid 5 playthrough, I may do a New Game Plus playthrough of Dark Souls 2 with live commentary, at the same time as the Dark Souls 1 live commentary playthrough. And I think this would give a good contrast to the channel, so we have two of the Dark Souls games going at once in anticipation for Dark Souls 3. And I don't know at this point, but if I do finish Dark Souls 1 and whatever other game I'm playing at that point, before the release of Dark Souls 3, I may in fact play Bloodborne as well, and that way I round out all three of the Souls games that I can play, not including Demon Souls, since I don't have a PVR that records on PS3. And I think this is fitting, because, I mean, Dark Souls 3 is coming out, and I can get to all of them before that happens, although this would only be the case if I had maybe a month at least to play that other game, and if I don't have that time, then I'll probably just jump straight into Dark Souls 3. The last update about the channel that I can think of is about Final Fantasy XII. It's a lifelong favorite game of mine, and I wanted to play it on a channel probably ever since I first played the game on PS2. Now, I can get an emulator for it, and I can play it on PC, so it'll have good, nice, shiny graphics, and I think Square Enix are actually thinking about doing a remaster of it or a remake of Final Fantasy XII. So I can either wait like 4 years for that to happen, or I can play Final Fantasy XII on an emulator on PC after Dark Souls 3. And I think that would be really cool to do, because it's just a game that I have a lot of passion for, and if I was playing it, I think I could get into the same realm of what I'm doing now with Dark Souls 2 and do an in-depth run of Final Fantasy XII. The game itself is a lot like the Dark Souls series, and it's very peculiar in the Final Fantasy series because it's a game that has a lot of lore, and it's a game that is very, very in-depth, and it has a lot to offer. So I'd like to play that on this channel because it represents what I like most about the Souls series, but it takes place within the realm of Final Fantasy rather than Dark Souls or Demon Souls or Bloodborne. For those of you that haven't played Final Fantasy XII, I really encourage you to download an emulator, or if you still have a PS2, play it in its original format, because if I play it on the channel, I don't really want to spoil it for you because it's a terrific game. Honestly, it's one of my favorites after the Dark Souls series and after any From Software game in general. And I really just don't want to spoil that experience for you if you do end up watching this playthrough of it that I do after Dark Souls 3. And Final Fantasy XII itself is about 170 hours long. At least that's the amount of game time that I racked up on it on PS2 when I first played it, and most of that was the main story by itself. So just imagine a playthrough of that on this channel in the same style as this Dark Souls 2 one, but with episodes coming out more frequently and a different atmosphere of game. It's just something different, like I said, for the channel earlier, and it would be a good change of pace. Because, I mean, consider this. There is going to be Dark Souls and Souls content coming out on this channel for the next 5 months at least that I can foresee. And that's what I have planned for the next few months as well. So you're going to just be getting slews and slews of Dark Souls content, and then after that, there would just be this nice change of pace in a new refreshing game that is called Final Fantasy XII, or maybe something completely different, I don't know yet. but I would really love to do Final Fantasy XII, and it'd be good if that series could get as much traction as this one did, because it really would mean a lot to me in the way of people watching that if I was putting as much effort into that series as I was with this one. But of course, if I was doing Final Fantasy XII, it would most likely be a live commentary run, because there just isn't enough lore to cover in Final Fantasy XII as there is to in Dark Souls 2 or Dark Souls in general. These games have so much lore intertwined into their games that it's not even fathomable. There's just so much. Even 6 or 7 years after their release, there is still being new stuff found that is just embedded so well in the game that it's taken that long to find. Final Fantasy XII is more spoon-fed to the player in the way of story, but the lore, like the bestiary and stuff like that, is actually stuff that you can discover yourself whilst playing, and that would be the sort of stuff that I would go into. So it may be a live commentary run for the most part, but every now and then I'd probably cut over to post-commentary to explain things in a bit more depth. It would be something like that, and I think that would be really cool to do. Anyway, it's time to jump back to Dark Souls 2, because this fucking dragon, man, I swear to God, I don't honestly know how you can get past him if you don't have a shield, because he always breathes fire down the path, and its reach is ridiculous. Just look at me trying to get away from it here. I mean, if I didn't have armor that was at least somewhat resistant to fire on, I would be dead right now. And also, another question you have to ask about this dragon is, why the fuck is it here? Why is it in Hyde's Tower of Flame? I mean, I get the whole flame part, but I don't think they were meaning it literally. I don't think they were meaning that there was literally a dragon in Hyde. It made infinitely more sense when there were old knights up here rather than a dragon. This thing belongs in the Eyrie, not in Hyde's Tower of Flame. When they were redoing the enemy placements for Scholar of the First Sin, some of them are hit, some of them are miss. And this one for me is miss, because it makes no sense. I mean, you have 2 dragon slayers in the area. I mean, the Dragon Rider isn't essentially a slayer of dragons, but I'm sure they have killed dragons in their time. And then, right above this dragon, or the Drake, whatever you want to call it, we have the Dark Ornstein impersonator. And impersonator, who knows? Well, I'll get into that in a second. But either way, this dragon is fucked no matter where it goes in Hyde's Tower of Flame, because you have 2 things on either side that want to kill it. But then again, I don't know if the Dragon Riders actually did kill dragons or drakes, but I'm guessing that if there was a freaking dragon in the area, you would most likely want to get rid of it. And I know this all comes down to semantics and what have you, that the dragon can't be killed by an Ornstein or the Dragon Rider because, well, they just can't get out of those areas that they are selectively in, and within that game world, this can't happen. But logically speaking, if this was real life, which it obviously isn't, this dragon would be dead long before I even got here. At least, if Dark Ornstein was still doing his job. And while we're on that topic, why the fuck is Ornstein in this game? I mean, it didn't make sense for him to be here originally, and now with Scholar of the First Sin, it makes literally no sense. There's still no explanation for him being up there. You get the Leo ring, which was Ornstein's ring in Dark Souls 1, but it has no added explanation for why this twisted Dark Ornstein is in the Cathedral of Blue awaiting you. The only things the developers have left us to run on with this Ornstein are theories and hearsay, and neither of those can be proven, because the dev team won't explain what he's doing there, and obviously they didn't even try to in Scholar of the First Sin, so it's most likely just fan service, and they just saw that Ornstein was one of the fan favorites from Dark Souls 1 and decided to bring him back in some way that made literally no sense towards the game's story in Dark Souls 2. And I've noticed something in the past few episodes. We've been kind of getting down into the nitty-gritty of what makes Dark Souls 2 so dislikable within the community, and it just comes down to things that, in my opinion, weren't thought through properly, like the lore that doesn't make sense, the enemies and characters that are in this world for no reason and don't have any explanation, and then the boss fights that are purely here for fan service, or the weapons that are purely in the game for fan service. Those are just some of the reasons, or actually no, they're most of the reasons why people dislike Dark Souls 2. That, coupled with the fact that the dev team thought artificial difficulty was a good idea. The game itself is beautifully made, and it's so much fun to play, but when you get to things like this, and you're a fan of the series, and you know what is wrong, then it's at those points when you really feel what is wrong with the game. And at this point with Ornstein, I am really feeling it, so he's better off dead. Let's not talk about this again. I can't even really dignify Ornstein in this game because there is nothing giving to him in the way of lore. The Leo ring basically just says stuff about Ornstein from Dark Souls 1, or not even says, it just hints towards him here. The beloved ring of a dragon-slaying knight. After many years of use, the ring's face has worn down, but close inspection reveals an engraved lion. This is what I'm talking about. The vagity is just too overwhelming, even in the soul. The old Dragon Slayer is reminiscent of a certain knight that appears in old legends. That's all we get. Literally all we get in this entire game. This entire game that is linked to Dark Souls 1, that is all we get. It is really just ridiculous. Like, it boggles my mind more than them putting in the Doors of Pharos and stuff from last episode. It makes less sense to me for him to be there than for the Doors of Pharos to be a location in this game.
Transient being. This is no place for one such as you. Be gone. You are not needed.
And then here we have this guy, who is a bit of an asshole when you first meet him. His name is Targray of the Blue Sentinels. He is the Covenant leader of the Blue Sentinels, and honestly this is just another one of those covenants that is really overlooked in my opinion. It's not that useful. I mean, it's useful if you want to get to level 30 and get the Wrath of God spell, but there are much easier ways to do that. For one, just get to New Game Plus 2, go see Chancellor Welliger, and he'll have that spell for you. No need to get to level 30 in that Covenant. So getting to level 30 and spending all that time on that Covenant is basically a waste, because you can put the same amount of time into getting through to New Game Plus 2, and actually no, it would take less time to get to New Game Plus 2 and to get to Chancellor Welliger in Drang Lake Castle and just buy the spell outright, rather than putting hours after hours into the Blue Sentinels Covenant just to get that one spell. At least if you go to New Game Plus 2 and you get to Chancellor Welliger, you can buy all the other top tier spells as well, which is the best thing to do. So it seems like a waste to have that reward in that Covenant, because no one will really play that Covenant to get that reward when they can just do the other thing instead. The way I see it, having the Wrath of God spell available at Chancellor Welliger cancels out the need for it in the Blue Sentinels Covenant. I don't know about you guys personally, but when I was going for Platinum on Dark Souls 2 and I needed to get that spell to complete the game and to get all the trophies, I just went to New Game Plus 2. I didn't even bother joining the Blue Sentinels and going to rank 30, mainly because, well, once again, internet here in Australia is mostly terrible, especially where I live, so invading and protecting people wasn't really an option for me. But I suppose the only real use for the Blue Sentinels Covenant is if you actually enjoy being summoned to defend others. If you don't, then you might as well just go to New Game Plus 2. There's no other way about it. It's the best route to get to that spell in the least amount of time. If you talk to Ben Hart now after unpetrifying Rosabeth, it'll activate his quest line.
Clearing the way was you doing, was it? Didn't think you had it in you, pal. No. That's not like it sounds, no. It was a pleasant surprise, that's all. Name's Ben Hart. Thanks to you, I can resume my journey. If we share the same path, I'm sure that we are going to meet again. I'll repay my debt to you in battle. I swear it, by my sword. The road ahead's going to be long, but I'm here to help. I am in your debt. It's a true man who honours his debts, and I'll see mine paid. I swear it by my ancient sword.
So, unfortunately, I'll have to end this episode here. Next time we'll carry on with Brightstone Cove Seldora and the Congregation boss and Magus. Once again, hope you enjoyed the episode. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.